Greetings, brothers and sisters. One of my viewers sent me this this morning with the caption, "Britney's acting crazy again." Come on, Britney. That's great.
That's your head. Put your tongue up. Just your tongue. That's hard. I'm not really sure what you're doing. Look at me.
Come on, Britney. You can do it.
Okay. Open your mouth. Put your tongue up. Like this. Can you do that? Without raising your head. Put your head back down. Okay.
Come on, Britney. You got it.
Go like this. Look down. Okay, now raise your tongue up. There you go.
They're checking for pills. Let's check in with the real Britney Spears here. Here she is at Sherlock Holmes. No comments. Here she is with roses. She likes her roses. And there she is. Her man is back, and he's got an ear made out of lettuce. So, apparently they didn't break up after all. There she is doing one of these Britney things. Back and forth. Fake smile, twirl around. Hand, smile there. Around. There we go. Grab my top. Pull down my skirt. There we go. That's classic Britney. But here, if you clapped my poops, could I make one pop like a balloon? On Thursday, question marks, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Salute all poops today. Not just with my middle finger, but my chest too. How do you spell chest? Is it chess or is it chest? Well, things are not going well in Britney land. And there she is showing you a picture of, I guess, Bobby Fischer. But not to be outdone, here's Madam Expiration Date showing off her archival bra or whatever it is. And she's got a new video here where she asks the age-old question here. There she goes, trying to get a wardrobe, practicing her expiration date moves. She's got dancers. She's got dancing. Guy's got thrown up his devil's horns. Doing a little twirl there. The happy kid, the old dancing. Little thing, going back. Some celebrate, some music playing here.
I don't know what's happening right now.
You're getting old. I sat through all that so I could say this one joke. You're getting old. That's what's happening. You're expiring. You actually expired years ago. Career apocalypse. 80 million jobs will vanish globally by 2027. Bank and postal clerks, cashiers, secretaries, stock checkers, and accountants are being automated out the door, says Davos report. 83 million jobs will disappear and 69 million new tech jobs will be created. That's a net loss of 14 million jobs, or 2% of the global workforce. 60% of workers will need some retraining to stay competitive.
For the first time ever.
That's Steve Jobs.
I'd like to let Macintosh speak for itself.
Hello, I'm Macintosh. It sure is great to get out of that bag.
Well, computer intelligence has come a long way, although that joke could probably have been written today by ChatGPT. That, of course, was Steve Jobs introducing Apple's pioneering Macintosh computer almost 40 years ago. Jobs' friend and Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak is now among a chorus of tech leaders calling for a pause on artificial intelligence, citing, quote, profound risks to humanity. Just over
Profound risks. This guy.
overnight, Samsung became the latest in a growing list of companies to ban the use of AI on their company devices. Wozniak, Elon Musk, other tech leaders recently wrote in an open letter that AI
This is Poppy Harlow. She used to be with Don Lyman.
developers are, quote,
Danny Lyman.
locked in an out of control, I should say, race to develop and deploy ever more powerful digital minds that no one, not even their creators, can understand, predict, or reliably control. People listen when Wozniak talks about
When Wozniak talk, people listen.
tech, about all of this. He designed the revolutionary Apple I and II computers. It helped put Apple on the map. The Apple I they built.
Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak.
in Jobs' parents' garage back in 1976. So we're really happy to have him with us this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. It's plenty early out here in California.
Where's Don? Where's Danny? What'd you guys do with Danny?
It's plenty early. We appreciate you getting up early. Look, you're worried. Elon Musk is worried. We just saw the
What about Danny Lyman? Is he worried?
man from Google, known as sort of the grandfather of AI, quit because of how worried he is. What do people need to know?
Well, you got a little bit wrong about me. I'm not like worried. I believe in fear and live in a life of fear. I just believe that when some powerful technology is introduced, we should look that almost all technology brings some good things to us and some bad things.
Yeah, you didn't tell you that about 5G. That's just frying everybody.
And we should be responsible, and we should study these things and kind of prepare people for what's coming and take steps maybe to keep it from being too horrible and bad. For example, look at how many...
It's not going to stop. There's no laws or rules that are going to come into place. And, they should have done this before they created it, right? Like it's something you do before you create something. If you create it, you're going to use it, right? You build a bomb, a nuclear bomb, you're going to use it. It's just going to happen. There's nothing that's ever been built that, at least as far as we know about, wasn't used at some point. It's before you build it. That's the time to get to it, right? But, it's too late for that.
Bad people out there just hitting us with spam and trying to get our passwords and take over our accounts and mess up our lives. And now AI is another more powerful tool. And it's going to be used by those people.
Those people.
For
Who are you calling those people?
Basically really evil purposes. And I hate to see technology being used that way. It shouldn't be. And probably some types of regulation are needed. Regulation is telling...
Yes, we need more rules. All right. Olympic gold medalist track star Tori Brown dies at 32. I have to get back into this. Here's this guy. One of my viewers sent me this. So this guy, transient waving machete around in Calabasas, I guess it's California, shopping center, and a get chased around by LASD deputies. So here are the cops here. There's a cop there. They got their guns out, right? And this guy's just walking by Wells Fargo, some homeless dude brandishing a machete. Like he's just walking around. He's got a machete out, just for whatever reason. I mean, hey, he's homeless. He hasn't got a place to store his machete. This is him. He's got to carry it wherever he goes. The cops are just surrounding him. Look, here they come approaching him. He's walking down here. He's like, well, leave me alone. It's got my machete. She's got sheath. I guess it's sheath. And then he's like, we got to leave a homeless dude just to walk down the street. Can't walk down his, got a machete here. I mean, I don't see any problem here. Cops, what's going on here? They've lost focus. And I guess there it is, going back to the beginning.
Of the debt for the next 10 years, 50 cents out of every dollar of the debt will be used for nothing more than to pay interest on the debt. This has got to be dealt with. Senator Schumer has said that, he wants to put...
Okay, so I got to stop there. Sony, have you ever seen the original Ben Affleck, Sad Affleck, where this dude had Harry Carvel, whatever his name is, Superman, is talking, and Ben Affleck looks sad because the movie sucks. And he plays this old song. I mean, it's got like 60 million views or something, right? But I watched the video by the guy who created it. And he talked about how Sony blocked the video, copyrighted him, but everyone else used it. So he didn't make any money. It wasn't monetized, but even he didn't get credit for his account. And he got the copyright, rescinded so he could play it, right? It was just helping their song and it was promoting their song and everything, right? He got it rescinded, but then he slapped him again with another copyright. And he talked about what a nightmare it was. And how, he really didn't get any credit for the video and, in terms of his channel and all these things, right? It was something that was used by everyone across the internet. That's why I can't play this video, because they're going to play the song. But look at this turtle MNFer, right? It's over. Donald J. Trump is destroying this country. Michelle Obama. Hello, Mike. We are playing basketball tomorrow. Are you up for it? Barack can also come. We need a cheerleader. So I guess that happened on August 19th. I don't know what year this was, but that's funny. We have Papillon dogs, and this is how they perform in these races, these dog shows or whatever.
And Gabby, the 3-year-old's second year here at Westminster.
Let's see what she can do. Nice, clean, smooth winning runs is what she's looking for.
Gabby just can't wait to go.
But won't leave, not leaving, not leaving. Look at this dog walk. Whoa, what speed on that dog walk. Redirects a little bit, make sure they get that. Push, push, push. Into that tunnel. Nice job. Get to the backside of this jump. Andrea, hang in there. Thought maybe she might have got lost for a quick second.
Gabby has to be 43.20.
No, that's fine. It's just time. That's time. It's just time. Wow. We're taking the long way around everything, it looks like. But this is a young dog.
Through the weave pulse.
Motors. Look at those weaves.
And Gabby wins it on the final run.
Wow, even with some miscommunication, some wide turns.
So I've seen this before. I don't know if I've showed you guys this before. I think I might even see this. I was just, maybe somebody sent it, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I saw it on TV. But Papillons are like crazily good athletes. And they're really good dogs. Both the dogs are in bed with me right now as I do this video. And, they've been bringing in ticks, so I haven't been letting them in, but I let them in this morning. And while I was watching this morning, one was sleeping on either side of my, one was sleeping on one side of my, legs, the other was sleeping on the other. They're great dogs because they're not yappers, even though they're small dogs. They bark a little bit. They're actually kind of, pretty good watchdogs from the standpoint of, alerting you. They have good ears, and they're very alert. And when they chill, they chill. They're not hyper, but when they are out, they have a lot of energy, and they, when we go for walks, they walk or run probably 3 or 4 more times than we do, right? So they get good exercise. And they're fun dogs, and they're very, sweet and smart, and they look at you, they're easily trainable, they'll heel naturally and things like this. But the crazy good athlete thing, like we throw the golf ball to Tulsi, and I throw a super ball to Buddy. It took a while for Buddy to sort of, Tulsi found a golf ball on the beach one time, and we just started throwing it. And so that was something, we were walking on the beach during vacation. And it's really fun. Like, she gets so excited. It's like the funnest thing. And she's pretty much happy about everything. She's like the happiest being that I've known. And, I've gotten lucky with dogs over the years. We had a great dog, Lucy. But the athletic nature of Papillons, because most small dogs are they're not like their bodies are messed up, or like they're not really good athletes. In fact, we were walking our dogs one day, and this guy said, "Are those Papillons?" He goes, he knew they were Papillons, and he said, "My wife does, like these kind of shows that we just saw, these athletic sort of dog shows." And his wife had some sort of dog, I don't remember the name, but they're similarly sized dogs. And he goes, every year my wife loses to the Papillons by about half a second, right? Because they're just really nimble and athletic and very impressive, right? But I don't like little dogs. I have whole stories about it. When I was waiting tables, my manager, and I was not in good with the other manager. There's 2 managers, and the other manager hated me, and this manager was sort of my only, link there. And he asked me if I would take care of his little yappy dog. He went away for a weekend, and he had a cage for it. And I was living in an apartment with a roommate, and the dog was yapping constantly when I was in the cage. And it was going to bother my neighbors. I was working on and off. I had to go to, work and, working late at night. And when I didn't have it in a cage, it just pooped and peed all over the apartment. And it was just a disaster. Like, it just was horrible. Little yapping dog. I don't like little yapping dogs. And when I was a little kid, I was playing hide and go seek, and there was this guy at this house, Old Man Wilson. We used to call him Old Man Wilson. He was just this mean old man that, he had a little ratty dog named Pepper. And I was playing hide and go seek, and I was running to the base, and all my friends were like, stop running. And so I stopped, and I didn't know, but Pepper was chasing me. It was this little, salt and pepper dog, grayish, white and black gray dog, and it came up and bit my leg, right? So I just don't like little dogs. And, when my wife showed up with Farley was so cute and like just really a neat little dog. And then Farley spent so much time with me. And then now, of course, these two dogs, but they're just great little dogs. I mean, they're, perfect for what we need. I mean, they're not really work dogs. I had a border collie before, but we don't have any need for that. You don't want a work dog if you don't, people get huskies and then live in Arizona, it's just like, you have to buy the dog that's suited for your lifestyle, right? And these dogs certainly are. Anyways, let's move on to the next thing here. Chinese panda loaned to Thailand dies suddenly. There seems to be a lot of zoo animals that are dying also, which, makes sense. Not how white men fight. Vile Tucker text reveals. And so New York Times obtained Tucker Carlson text that contributed to removal from Fox News. It's not how white men fight, Tucker Carlson wrote to producer after watching a video of 3 men attacking an Antifa kid. This is his other video there. So, that's what they're claiming they had a problem with. But I know that the people at Fox News did not have a problem with that tweet. They're just trying to... it was 3 against 1, at least, Carlson wrote in a message, which had been redacted in court filings. Jumping a guy like that is dishonorable. Obviously, it's not how white men fight. Yet suddenly I found myself rooting for the mob against the man, hoping they'd hit him hard or kill him. I really wanted them to hurt the kid. I could taste it. Well, that's a little bit disturbing. And it's exactly how white men fight, right? Like, if you understand colonization and the weaponization of, having superior weapons than your opponent, is exactly how white men colonized the world, right? By having, advantages. They weren't like, even fights. It's guns against like bows and arrows and stuff. Russia claims Ukraine tried to assassinate Putin in drone attack on the Kremlin. Everybody lies, so there's no reason to even talk about this because no one's going to believe Putin, and, I'm not believing anybody, right? Federal Reserve confronts contradictory economy today as it considers next interest rate hike. The central bank faces a weakening economic growth even as inflation and labor market remains robust. There's Hoda.
We are keeping a close watch on the Federal Reserve today.
How ghoulish is Savannah Guthrie? I mean, what is going on there? It's just like,
It is set to meet and poised to raise interest rates for the 10th time, trying to keep inflation in check. NBC's business report.
It's like her hair isn't real. Like her hair is just, it's almost like she's one of those, They Live, whatever it is, right? From that movie, is it called They Live? I don't know. Don't tell me, don't care, don't need to know. The John Carpenter movie where aliens are disguising themselves, right?
Trying to keep inflation in check. NBC's business reporter Brian Chung is here with what it means for you and your wallet. So the Fed is...
Okay, look in your wallet, and everything that's in there has no value. And someday that'll be the case. Right now we're pretending it has value, and someday this game will end.
Expected to raise interest rates Is that going to be it? Because inflation has come down.
It has come down, but we have to remember prices are still 5% more expensive this time than they were this time last year, which means that the Fed, which wants to see that number somewhere closer to 2%, still has a long ways to go. Now,
somewhere to go. They just want to get down to 2%.
Whether or not the Fed can do an interest rate hike today, which, as you mentioned, is expected to be 1/4 percentage point, and then let those interest rates stay high to get inflation down further, remains an open question. Can they do that without breaking things in the labor market, where unemployment, as a reminder, is at 3.5%, essentially a half-century low? We'll see what the Fed says later on this afternoon.
We always hear about these rate hikes, but what does it mean for...
What does it mean? Get to the bottom of this, Hoda. Hoda, do your job.
Like Mary Smith with a budget and
yes, Mary Smith. How does this affect Mary Smith? Right, Hoda? Exactly.
with credit cards. How does it affect that person?
Yeah, Hoda, what it means is that the mortgage rates, credit card rates, auto loan rates, anything that you use to borrow money essentially is going to remain high. So when you take a look at these headlines that say the Federal Reserve is raising interest rates, that means that it's going to continue to pinch the ability of households and businesses to borrow money, and it's likely going
You can't borrow money, then that's
to remain that case.
Like, look at them being serious like this, man. Like we're just not in free fall. Look at these guys talk like there's still a chance we have, saving this thing, right?
Inflation is still high.
So the Fed's trying to slow the economy but not crash the economy.
Exactly.
And now there's another wrinkle, which is yet another regional bank failing.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we talk about First Republic Bank, which failed over the weekend, there is the concern that we're still feeling the aftershock of the Silicon Valley Bank failure just about 2 months ago.
No, it's more than that, bro.
And you see stock markets also expressing concern over other regional banks as well. So can the Federal Reserve pull off these interest rate hikes without potentially breaking another bank? That's something we'll have to listen in for.
No, it's just like ridiculous. Like, stop faking it, right? Joe Scarborough slams Tucker Carlson's defenders with scorching supercut. I'm expecting a video down here somewhere. Okay, so you're Gumby Joe, right? And you suck. Like, you were formerly a Republican who sucked, and now you're some sort of, I don't know, fake Republican, neoliberal, whatever you are at Morning Joe. Married to your dude, Mika Brzezinski. And then
actually going out defending him, saying, well, I'll just say, Andrew Sullivan, both Tucker and Bobby represent, it seems to me, something nonetheless real, a deepening suspicion of corporate and government authority. And then Barry Weiss said...
So there was a tweet I saw this morning, I don't know if it's true or not, that said that he's offered like $100 million or something from somebody.
You can't deny how important Tucker was and is. Nellie and I watched his monologues. And
so, Tucker's whiny, he's got a weird voice, and he's connected, and he's a part of the club, right? But what he represents is the truth community, like people's desire for something other than mainstream media. Like, he took his, he had people, or he himself invested in looking at truther videos, right? There's a time where he started using the word ghoul, like something that I've popularized, and some of my viewers were saying they stole it. I don't know. Who's to say, right? But they, are watching the truth community, which is massive. Like, it's massive. It's been massive for a long time. And CNN and MSNBC are all trying to replicate some aspects of the truth community to regain viewership, right? And Tucker Carlson was able to do that. The one thing I can say about Tucker Carlson that was, I don't know, like okay or good or whatever, is that there was an old video out there where the big event 2001, he's like, come on, like, get serious, come on, don't talk to me about it. Somebody asked him about it being an inside job. And, I posted that and talked about how, like, this is what it used to be like, right? And at some point he addressed that. I don't know if it was anything to do with me, probably not, but whatever. He addressed it and said he now thinks everything's on the table. And I saw, a Building 7 thing that he did, right? Where he was talking about, like, if you ask a question about that, you're censored. So he's actually, at least publicly admitting that he sucked worse before than he, sucks now. Right? which is, about all you can ask from a mainstream media person. That's as much as you're going to get, right? But, he's got his weirdness, his whine, his weird laugh, and all these things. But he represents to so many people who are just fed up with mainstream media's fakeness. And I don't mean just the information being fake. I mean more the people being fake, like Joe Scarborough or any of these people. They don't act like real people. That's why nobody watches them. You don't have a conversation with somebody sitting there with a suit and tie, and they're not being their authentic selves, right? When they're complete, horrible people behind the scenes, and they put on this show, it's just, it's hard to watch.
And not quite nightly, but the next day on YouTube. Let's see, what else did she say? Just said...
All right, let's get to his supercut here. So at some point he's going to do a supercut.
Tucker Carlson, I want him to see once again what they're defending. Play the clip.
White supremacy, that's the problem. This is a hoax. There's no evidence that white supremacists were responsible for what happened on January 6th. That's a lie. We have a moral obligation to admit the world's poor, they tell us, even if it makes our own country poorer and dirtier and more divided. Demographics. Remember the Great Replacement?
This isn't some slam dunk, kind of horrible stuff he's showing, right?
Theory? Was it conspiracy theory? It sounds more like a statistical fact. Ilhan Omar is living proof that the way we practice...
These are just little sound bites that are, they're not that horrible, right? They're not, some of these things we would agree with, whatever it is, right? Taken out of context. But, this isn't a supercut, right? He's not getting Tucker Carlson here.
This immigration has become dangerous to this country. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, herself a symbol of America's failed immigration system. Can a single human being actually be as loathsome as Ilhan Omar is? It's hard to believe. Dating Montel Williams, is something that's within her range of experience. Is she good at it? We can't say, but she's done it. Just for masochistic reasons.
You just said that Kamala Harris had sex with Montel Williams. That's not, that's factual, right? At least, as far as we know.
Can you do one more time? So it might be time for Joe Biden to let us know what Ketanji Brown Jackson's LSAT score was. What the hell did she do in the LSATs? They think that you should be elevated in America based on what you do, on the choices you make, not on how you're born, not in your DNA, because that's Rwanda. Rwanda.
Okay, saying Rwanda over and over again is not something you can... it's just horrible. Like, this is how they think they're getting somebody, right?
We're still not precisely sure how George Floyd died. Very few unarmed black men are killed by white cops these days. Where's George Floyd when you need him? The only job training program this administration has gotten behind in 2.5 years is getting black people to sell more weed in the cities. You never see politicians transition into, say, Malcolm X. Why is that? Maybe because Malcolm X didn't talk like a sharecropper. Xenophobia! It seems almost antique. This show, more than any other show on television, has taken an aggressive position in favor of colorblind equality and against racism.
That's not a supercut. The laugh is the only thing you got him with, right? He's got a weird laugh. But you used your supercut to have his, he had that woman who impersonates Kamala on, and he had her laugh, mocking Kamala's laugh, and then you mock his laugh. But you show him mocking Kamala's laugh as part of the, oh, look at how horrible a person he is, right? Like, you guys just suck so bad at everything. Like, how does it just show up at your job and just absolutely suck at it? Like, just, there's no chance of you ever being good or doing anything that can contribute to humanity. You just go out there and you just suck, right? Like, you wake up in the morning and you get ready. You put your massive amount of mousse or hair gel up in your Gumby Doo and you go out there. You give Mika a hug and her boner rubs against you. And you show up for work and you just suck. Like, you just suck at everything.
So I have no words. Not only for what we saw there, but also by...
No words. Of course you don't, because it's not, you didn't get the guy. Like, you could have. There's things he says there controversial, especially to your audience. But that was not a good mashup.
People who are going out there going, yeah, but at least he wasn't woke. So we're going to be okay with the most racist rants that I think we've heard on national news in our lifetimes.
Oh, that's not true. What are you talking about? There's real racism out there. This is just, whatever. Jamie Foxx remains hospitalized as Beat Sean Shazam finds new host, report says. Somebody said that someone tried to kill him or something. I lost that. I had but he's hospitalized and nobody really knows why. He's 55 years old, and whatever's happening with him, he's still in the hospital, and it's been like over a month, right? Allison Holker details really hard talks she had with kids about Twitch's death. That whole thing is weird. I guess she sat down with Hoda somewhere. But she, the whole no suicide note, no, indication of what was going on. And then he's just gone, right? Just kills himself, according to the official story. And then, Ellen. Maria Menounos reveals secret pancreatic cancer battle while expecting baby. Maria Menounos secretly battled pancreatic cancer earlier this year while awaiting the revival of a first baby via surrogate. I thought she had cancer before. I'm not really, I guess she's some Hollywood reporter type person. I know that she's on like a couple of the gas station pumps. If you go to these gas stations and they just start playing a video, and it's like horrible. And I know that she's been on some of those pumps at my, whatever it is, but she's got cancer and she's, how old is it? 44. Kevin Costner's wife, Christine, files for a divorce after 18 years of marriage. There they are together. She looks like she hates him there, like secretly, like hates him. There she is trying to, get a little spotlight for herself. And now they're getting divorced. So I got a few chicken things to show you here. And then I'm going to talk about a few comments that I got. But let's start here with the farm stuff. So this happened. It's kind of self-explanatory. I came outside. The chicken tried to get inside the door. The other door closed. Chicken wasn't paying attention. Maybe there's some food up there. And now she's trapped and doesn't know what to do. Okay, here we go. Let's see what happens here. What are you doing? Kaboom. There's Tulsi. We're gonna play our favorite game. Doc. 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 Goose! Why are you running? Bro. Okay, so these are the eggs I got so far. As I can hear, this is our old barn where the cows used to eat. The hay's in here. I don't have the cows anymore, but it's where we used to feed them the grain. It's a nice little cozy area here. It's a manger. Okay, so I thought I had some comments. The one comment I had wasn't good. And the other ones I had already addressed, so I guess I just wasn't getting many of these funny comments. I just wanted to address the economy and the collapse of the system in a different way. And so when the debt-based economy was, began, and it's been used before in small places, a usury-based system, and it's a scam, it's a flim-flam, a pyramid scheme, right? Where the people who are running the scam can just write their own tickets of how much money they just skim from the system. But the more they skim, the more that it becomes, insolvent. But it was insolvent in the beginning because the amount of money that you conjure up, that these sorcerers conjure up when they make the, when they create this false economy. And I'm, going to cover this again. My wife just sent me an image with the banks that have collapsed, and I'll cover it tomorrow, and I'll talk about this, them there then as well. But it has, these three major banks collapsing, and so when you create money when you conjure money out of thin air, right? When you just create wealth without making something of value or having something of value, you say, all right, this is just wealthy, and we all agree upon it. This is just wealth. This is currency. When you create currency, and then you attach a fee to your creating the currency, which is interest. So the bankers are really sorcerers, and when they conjure up this money, they attach a fee to it, and the economy can never support that fee because you've created this money, which is illusionary, and then you've charged interest on it. And so the amount of wealth that you create in the system will never equal the amount of wealth that you create plus the sorcerer's fee, the interest. And so it's always insolvent. You're always chasing the rabbit like a dog chasing the rabbit around a racetrack. You're never going to catch the rabbit. And so it doesn't play by any other rules because it should collapse because of that, right? The amount of debt that you're creating is not equal to the amount of debt plus interest that you have, right? So that's insolvent from its very nature of its existence. The sorcerer's fee is what causes, the problem here. And so on a small scale, how does an economy like an insolvent economy end? Like a pyramid scheme? Well, you get caught, right? People start getting pissed off. They realize you stole their money and they want it back. That's how all pyramid Ponzi schemes collapse. But when you do it over a whole country or the globe in this case, then how do how does it end? Like that's what we're waiting for. How does this thing end? What's going to make this end? Because there's no authority figure when the authority is the people who run this scam. The people who run this scam have more money and power than anybody else globally. All these bankers, and then everything's tied into this scam. All the governments are relying on this scam. All the businesses are relying on the scam. All the people are relying on the scam. And so no one wants to say, hey, everything in your bank account is worthless. Everything in your wallet is worthless. It has no value. And, that's where we are. So how does that end? Because there's no authority figures to catch you like, the law enforcement or your neighbors or the people, your relatives who, they gave you $5,000 for the pyramid scheme and then they lose $5,000, right? And you've been pushed through and you have 20 grand or whatever it is and they have nothing and you have 10 relatives and friends who each gave you $5 grand and they're all pissed, right? So that's how something would end, right? There's social pressure. But what if we're all dependent on the system going? And that's the real problem with the system because it is so far out of the realm of solvency. The numbers are so out of whack, you can't even fudge the books anymore. And so it needs a authority to say, hey, one of the countries or somebody to say, hey, the economy's done, right? And nobody wants to admit it. And, I don't want to admit it because everything that I have is based, in terms of my ability to survive. There'd be no YouTube channel. There'd be no, money. There'd be no, we'd just be on our own, right? Whatever we have right now, the whole economy would stop. The manufacturing industry would stop, all of it. And so that's going to have to happen. But what's going to make it happen? Cataclysmic events. What's going to make the economy just absolutely collapse, right? And we don't know. Like World War III, there's going to have to be major events because otherwise it takes people just to admit the truth, and they're not going to do that. And so it's just going to keep on limping along. But, every day you're spinning the Russian roulette. Your bank's going to close. You're going to lose everything. Some people are going to lose everything. And then, when that becomes a mob of people, like half the population are now destitute and homeless or whatever, who or, whatever it is, right? And so you have mass poverty, mass starvation, an economic, the power grid goes down. I mean, something, like that. We'll take it to, because there is no oversight. There is no authority figures who can say, hey, this is a scam, because the authority figures are running the scam, like I just said. And so, that's where we are. Like, it's something to understand, and it can implode just like that, because it should have, based in its original premise, never even existed, right? Like if somebody said, hey, I'm going to create a monetary system where I loan you out value, and now you have this value and everyone else has to accept it. And by the way, you owe me interest on, for me creating it. And people would be like, well, that doesn't sound like a good deal, right? And so it shouldn't have existed. But now that it does, and it's global, you don't know what's going to cause it to collapse, because it should have collapsed just based in, how the world works. It should have collapsed right away, because it's not, it's not sustainable, right? It's insolvent. So this is just a different way to look at it. It's like a car that gets 1 mile to the gallon. It's got a 20-gallon tank. And so every 20 miles you'd have to fill it up, right? Or, it gets half a mile to a gallon, or even something. I mean, you can't even, it's not functional. And so such a car would never be produced. But if it was, and everyone, that's all they had, well, the gas industry would be booming, right? And, all of it, right? So that's an analogy, and not a great one for the economic system. And so you don't know when it's going to collapse, because it should have collapsed already. It should have died already, because it's not functional. It's a low-functioning system. But now that it's, global and everyone's dependent on it, and we have been given a certain lifestyle and these types of, the people who have wealth, because it's not even that many people. Most people are living in horrible poverty. More than 60% of the population is just living in poverty, like, poverty that we can't even conceive of. It's people you don't even look at, because it's like their life is so foreign to yours, and you can't even imagine. When I drove through India, and I saw these people, they were like 4'11", and they're skinny, and they're living in huts, and they're wearing a loincloth, and there's tens of thousands of them living in these huts, and there's billions of them, right? Over half the population. But the people who do have living in sort of a modern day lifestyle, and have, heated and air-conditioned homes, and have, food at your fingertips, and can drive in vehicles and fly in planes, and, all these various gadgets and devices that we have, and all of it, right? Like, those are based in this economy that should have never been. And so those things disappear when the economy disappears. And, that's the problem. No one wants that, right? And people are fighting for it just to preserve their way of life, but it, should have collapsed even before it began. It should never have become, right? It should never be. Like, this economy should have never, it's an abomination. And so the dependency on it, everyone being dependent on it, is what keeps it going. It's too big to fail, right? That's that idea. We're dependent on this, and if it collapses, we're all screwed. And so we're just waiting for the events to unfold that will cause its collapse. But anyways, I'm going to end this thing here. I'm going to talk about this more tomorrow. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paramount, definitely pointing from the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day, and be grateful.